What would you say is the one thing you can't forgive a person for? My father calling the police on me after his girlfriend moved in and he changed the locks while all my stuff was in the house still. My mom forgetting I had cancer and never once called me for 9 months during my treatment. She was never around anyways and would forget my birthday, so I guess I should have expected it. Haven't talked to her in about a year. I don't need that toxicity in my life. What the frick? That's horrible. Gosh, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. My father cheated on my mom when she had stage 4 cancer. I was 23 at the time and ended up giving up my apartment and moving back home to take care of her. She had squamous cell carcinoma on her foot, so they had to amputate most of her leg and she was in a lot of pain. One night I heard them arguing and he said, well, I can't get it from you, so I'll have to get it somewhere else. He ended up spending most of his time at the house of some woman he met from the neighborhood. My brothers, who never so much as visited our mom during the time she was sick, tell me I'm overreacting and I should just get over it. So long as I'm drawing breath, I'll never forgive that son of a b for treating my mom that way. And I'll continue to be estranged from my brothers, too. Breaking the trust you had in them even when you gave them a second chance. I've given people far too many second chances, to the point that I'm even skeptical about even giving second chances anymore, since I know I'll just be hurt in the long run. Not simply doing something bad once, but doing it on purpose, enjoying it, and continuing to do it. A person can't be forgiven until they've stopped for good or honestly fight the urge to do it again. The best apology is changed behavior. My wife's family taking my distress at losing my wife at 39 as weakness and trying to take advantage to get whatever they could. Nope, can't forget that one. If they lie extensively and try to cover it up, break your heart, and then lie to you again, but you have no way to prove it, you end things but always wonder if you've made a mistake. My mom does this. I don't think I can break up with my mom though. I just stop believing in her. Shaming someone trying to better themselves, whether it might be an overweight person in the gym or someone working a minimum wage job. You have no idea what they are going through and yet you chose to make fun out of them. Marrying a family member's ravisher, knowingly. I have a family member who stayed married to her husband after he violated her sister-in-law, her brother's wife, and later tried to physically abuse her little sister. When the little sister came forward, the ravisher's wife told her she was lying and trying to steal her husband. At 13. Hurting anyone that can't defend themselves, it's an extremely cowardly act. Wow, I thought airbenders got wiped during the 100-year war, though I agree. When I was violated, my best friend didn't want to believe me, said it wasn't her place to take sides. I tried so hard to keep the relationship functioning, but that trauma defined me for years, and she only ever acknowledged it with if that did happen. At her 21st birthday she invited him to the party, and didn't tell me until I was already there. I left immediately and never replied to a text or call from her again. It's been years. Been exactly where you are. Cut those buttholes out and never looked back. It's been 15 years since the incident and I don't think I'll ever forgive my once best friend for having physical relationship with my autistic sister. Is your sister low functioning and didn't consent, cause then she was violated? I'm sorry. Using a person's kindness for their own gain. A few years ago one of my ex's cousins died in a car crash. It took an extreme emotional toll on my ex and her entire family. My ex and her mother wound up on an extremely emotional late night phone call. For context, they are Chinese, so I didn't understand any of the details of the conversation. As I'm lying in bed they finally hang up their phones, and for whatever reason my spidey sense goes off. I get up to go check on my ex in the living room to find her holding a knife and moving it toward her wrist. I had to wrestle the knife from her and put her in a hold while she thrashed and cried uncontrollably. Turns out her mother ended their conversation telling her that she wished she had aborted her. Since then they have both gone to therapy, individually, and have not only worked out their problems but have forged an even stronger relationship than either of them ever thought they could have. I'm proud of both of them, but what the mother did that night is one thing I can't and won't forgive her for. Killing my daughter. I read your post history out of curiosity and it made me sad and angry. I hope you're coping okay. I had a hysterectomy at the ripe age of 32 and never had a chance to have children with my husband. My sister is an alcoholic and she gets very mean when she's drunk. She was upset with me one evening and she was leaving me message after message because I wouldn't pick up. I listened to one. I probably shouldn't have. She said, "You will never know what it's like to have children. You wouldn't have been a good mom." Pretty much saying I deserve it. She's 48 and knows better. But I don't think I can forgive her. She goes too far. But she's in rehab now for her 10th time. You don't have to forgive her. That's an awful thing to tell someone, let alone a sibling. My first relationship was ended by a mutual friend who talked behind my back. She managed to convince my boyfriend that I was an butthole for studying instead of partying with him. I wanted to give us financial stability so he could pursue his art career. After we broke up, she tried to form a relationship with him and failed miserably. I still talk to my ex, and we got our friendship back. What she destroyed, though, will never be the same. From as long as I can remember, she's the one person that I never managed to forgive. Sounds like he's an butthole for listening to her. The father of my child cheated on me with my mum. They are now living together as a couple. I can never forgive them. Oh no, I can't even imagine what you're going through, let alone your child. Hell. Well, if you know me then it's not surprising. I can't forgive drunk driving. I moved to the United States around 5 years ago from Ireland. 2 years after I did, I was in the car with my family when we were hit by a drunk driver. In the crash, everyone in my family thankfully wasn't hurt except me, due to shrapnel as well as inhalation of toxic fumes. I now am covered in scars and can no longer speak at all other than small squeaks. Because one person decided to drive after drinking. It changed my life and the life of my family forever. Don't drink and drive, people. Not just for your own safety, but everyone's safety. That's fricked. My sister gave us 3 days notice that we were being evicted, and that's only because my dad confronted her with the eviction notice he found. Had he not snooped, we would have been completely caught by surprise. It's annoying because we found out that night that my grandmother and aunt had been sending my sister money the entire time we lived with them to help us get back on our feet. We could have used that money for gas, which we had to beg her for. We could have used that money for my parents to get to job interviews that they had, but couldn't get to because of no gas or car troubles. I used to be a different person, and being homeless fundamentally changed me as a person. It absolutely destroyed my social skills and my self-esteem. Since the first time of being homeless, I've been homeless 2 or 3 times after that. It's a bit of a blur. I truly hope you get back on your feet. Taking advantage of someone's disability, mental, physical, whatever it may be. Purposefully harming a child or animal. I can't forgive my now alienated spouse's family for all literally lining up to kick me when I was down. They never liked me. My husband at a low point had an affair and every member of his immediate family took that to mean it was now open season on me, and each unleashed every verbal disgusting assault they could. All within weeks of my life having crumbled around me as I knew it. My husband worked his butt off in the years after to earn back my trust and respect. He was an incredibly damaged human from his upbringing in such a family. Therapy and more therapy. I lived years in agony out of love and respect for him, trying to make it through the mire that my life had become. But I cannot bring myself to try to reconcile with people who literally saw me grasping for reasons to still live and decided to grind their heels into my fingers. They killed any chance of being in my life and the lives of my children for good. Having the courage to be vulnerable and then having it thrown in your face. This, I call it weaponizing vulnerability, and it's an instant relationship ender. It's not something you can bring up and talk out. Trust is gone forever. My ex at the moment, since finding out I had cancer, has been harassing me and taking me to court near enough every month, and also has been telling people that I've only a few weeks left to live etc. I'm not terminal, and for that, I can never forgive him. Who does that to someone trying to recover and stay stressless? Child physical abuse. And anyone that knows about it and lets it continue to happen. Other than the obvious, committing a violent or physical offense, close friends or family suddenly ghosting me. It's cruel to leave someone twisting in the wind. Sack up and tell me that you don't want to be a part of my life, for whatever reason, and then move on. My mom financially and emotionally cut off me and my sister when we were in our first and third years of college, respectively, to chase a relationship and business endeavor with a woman she had just started a relationship with. She spent close to $1 million that would have been left to me and my siblings, while systematically cutting out everyone who questioned her decisions. Ultimately she lost everything, and now crashes on my sister's couch between evictions. She's never really assumed responsibility, so we can't forgive her. To be clear, it's not the money I can't forgive her for, it's the fact that I saw her in a place where she thought she didn't need us and could afford to kick us to the curb to benefit herself personally, so she did so. How a person acts when they feel like they have everything can be just as revealing as how they act when their back is up against the wall. Terrorizing me emotionally by strongly implying that you are going to commit suicide because something that I did was an inconvenience to you, then purposely avoiding my calls and messages when I desperately try to contact you, then acting as though you never intended to worry me, but do it all again in a few months anyway. I have 2 ex-boyfriends who I will never forgive. They were both extremely emotionally abusive. My mother dated this piece of crap guy. He acted nice at first, but then turned into a complete shat. This was an on-again off-again relationship. He would hit me and abuse me when my mom was around, and even when she let him hit me. I was scared for my life one time when her and him were fighting. I had to grab a belt and whack him across his back in order to get him off of her. He chased me up the stairs and threatened to snap my neck. This was back when I was 9. The worst part is, despite all the fuck up things he did to my sister and me, my mom still had a child with the man. He doesn't pay child support and he barely has place of his own. He still live in apartment house in his 50s. He wanted to go to the NBA, but was too stupid and stubborn to finish college. He blames his behavior or his upbringing as his dad treated him the same. I'm not his son. He was never married to my mom. I have no reason to contact him even if he's the dad of my little sister. Visitation with him and my sister are limited because I was living on the house. I don't feel sad nor guilty for having that power over their relationship. It's my sister's fault that she's in this world, but I hope she know that her dad is piece of crap. I hope one he does so I can spit on his grave. This mother Daniel asked me to bring my foiled Charizard Pokemon card to school to show it to him, and I know he stole it out of my backpack later that day while we were at recess. I'll take this 2nd grade grudge to the goddamn grave. Downright despicable and wholly unforgivable. Goddamn, I am sorry. May you find peace. Pedophilia. I've cut off my own family for this reason and I don't regret it. Humiliating me horrifically over the course of multiple years that led me to develop crippling mental health and acting like just because you were a teenager it means nothing. Dang. I hope you'll get better and find peace in your mind. I would find it impossible to forgive myself after being cheated on. I know a lot of people who said they've been able to overcome this, but it was the one thing I would never be able to get past. It is a total violation of trust. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive my older brothers for telling me I was stupid for being raped. The texts kept coming through. What were you wearing? He probably assumed you wanted it. And I don't know why you wouldn't go to the police. How do I know you aren't lying about it happening in the first place? The older one's wife texted me a few days later telling me how disappointed she was that I didn't tell her I was raped. I thought we were sisters. Guess not, comma. Taking any caring person for granted. Abuse and bullying. I wouldn't. One thing, Jesus, start with all the variations on genocide and work your way down until you're comfortable forgiving somebody for something. If someone tried to kill me, I'd be unable to forgive them. Emotionally abusing your child. Thanks mum and dad for enabling. It really fricks up with your self-worth. But also I guess not emotionally investing in those you're supposed to. My boyfriend killed himself. I had a woman tell me you are the reason he killed himself. Just saying. It was the just saying that threw me into a rage. My mother orchestrating the adoption of my child to my aunt. Haven't seen my son in 8 years. Before anyone asks, she ran a campaign of lies against me to all the family and threatened to have me bodily harmed should I defy her. I was Baker acted with her signature and she kidnapped my son to take him to his new parents. Needless to say, I moved continents and am now working on building my self-confidence and independence. Being a pedophile, a ravisher, or an animal abuser. If it's a spouse or partner, cheating. I still don't get how a cousin took his wife back. She had a full affair with his best friend. No way I could get past that. Like this video and this good bee will play you a nice song. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.